Hey, what's up guys? I'm Joe from BIGBITE and welcome to another episode of Refresh, where we recount the events of past video games, films, and TV shows to prepare you for future releases. Today we're going to cover the events of Halo 2. This game has quite a long and complex story, so we're going to skim this one real fast. Ready? Okay, you got that? No? Really? Ugh. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to take this one slow then. Okay, so Halo 2's story begins shortly after the destruction of the Halo Ring at the hands of Spartan 117. Over the wreckage of the Halo Ring orbits a massive fleet of Covenant ships, along with the mobile capital city of the Covenant High Charity. A supreme commander of the Sangheili, commonly known as the Elites, named Thel 'Vadamee, is under trial for his failure to protect the Halo Ring from destruction. Thel defends his failure by insisting his hampered progress was the fault of the Flood. These comments are negated, and the High Prophets of the Covenant, Truth, Regret, and Mercy, declare Thel guilty of failing to protect their sacred ring. He's stripped of his rank and branded a heretic with the Mark of Shame. The branding is carried out by Tartarus, the chieftain of the Giralane, also known as the Brutes. Meanwhile on Earth, the Chief is testing out his new Mark 6 armor fitted with new upgrades. His testing is interrupted by Sergeant Major Avery Johnson, the only other human survivor of the Halo destruction. They leave for an award ceremony presented by Fleet Admiral Terrence Hood for their actions on the Halo Ring. He also presents an award to Miranda Keyes on behalf of her father, who perished on the ring. Their ceremony is cut short by the sudden arrival of a Covenant fleet preparing to invade Earth. Despite the Covenant causing significant damage to the human defenses, they successfully repel them, with 117 sending a Covenant bomb into one of their battle cruisers. Despite that, one ship makes it to Earth and begins the invasion. Miranda Keyes, accompanied by Johnson and the Chief, follow the Covenant ship to the ground on board their ship in amber clad, engaging them in New Mombasa. Cortana picks up on transmissions from the Covenant ship, just repeating the word regret. Cortana identifies it as a distress call from the Covenant High Prophet, Regret. They run into a Covenant scarab and lose their pelicans, continuing on foot. After blasting through the Covenant armies in Mombasa, the Chief successfully boards the scarab and destroys it. Shortly thereafter, the Prophet's carrier prepares to retreat via a slip-space jump in the middle of the city. The Chief and Johnson return to Miranda's ship and follow the carrier through slipspace. The jump results in the portal detonating and the devastation of New Mombasa. Back at High Charity, Tartarus is hauling the disgraced Thel 'Vadamee through the prison halls, where the Prophets
have something special in mind.
Thel is left to the mercy of the Prophets, Truth and Mercy. Truth leads the conversation, claiming that the Council wishes to see Thel dead for his acts, but he knows that despite his failure to protect Halo, Thel is no heretic. Truth offers Thel a chance at redemption by giving him the mantle of Arbiter, a suicidal role where he would become the will of the Prophets and ensure their religious status is assured. He'll almost certainly die, but with a clearer conscience. Thel accepts the role and is sent to eliminate a heretic leader who has recruited the Elites and Grunts to his cause, and seeks to free the Elites from the Great Journey, which he deems a lie strung together from false prophets. After a long fight against heretic elites and returning Flood forms, the Arbiter kills the heretic leader and discovers 343 guilty Spark, still alive and residing with the Covenant heretics. Tartarus shows and seizes Spark, named by the Covenant as a Holy Oracle. Meanwhile, the UNSC ship, in amber clad, is pulled out of slipspace with Regret's cruiser. They realize they have arrived at the second Halo Ring. They plot and prepare to capture the Prophet of Regret and prevent him from firing the ring. However, after discovering that Regret plans to fire it in order to propel himself further into the Divine Beyond, they decide to just kill him instead. Which Chief does in what is probably the dumbest boss fight in the entire series. After killing the Prophet, the Covenant fleet and High Charity arrive at the ring, and they attempt to kill 117 by gassing the entire building. Chief escapes, but he's knocked out by the blast into the water. He's dragged into the depths by mysterious tentacles. On board High Charity, Thel, now Arbiter, watches the Brutes removing honor guard spears and armaments from the Elite, taking over their role. After the death of Regret, the Hierarchs declare the Elites unfit to protect them, blaming his death on the Elites themselves. The action raises already high tensions between the Elites and Brutes, with the Sangheili counselors threatening to resign from the Council. The Prophet of Truth tries to learn from Guilty Spark how to activate the Halo Ring, leading him to send the Arbiter to recover the sacred icon in order to light the ring. The Arbiter and the Singili, led by Ritas Vadume, fight their way through a war zone of Flood and Sentinels. Miranda Keyes and Johnson also arrive at the Index, seeking to secure it to keep the Covenant away from it. However, the Arbiter arrives and defeats them both. Before he can take the Index, Tartarus shows up and steals the Index from the Arbiter, along with the two humans. Tartarus reveals the Brutes are now preparing to kill off the Sangheili for good, starting with the Arbiter. Thel learns that Tartarus was ordered to do so by the Prophets before he is blasted into the abyss below. Deep underneath the library, Chief awakens to find himself in the grip of the Gravemind, the sentient intelligence of the Flood. The Arbiter is also brought before him, saved from dying by the Gravemind. The Prophet of Regret has been assimilated into Gravemind along with the respective monitor of the ring, 2401 Pendant Tangent. Gravemind presents them as two sides, the Prophet appearing insane through staying steadfast to his faith, and the monitor consistently talks about the ring as a weapon that will achieve no great journey. The monitor says that the great journey simply doesn't exist. Thel's faith in the great journey is further questioned by Gravemind himself and 117, leading Thel to reluctantly listen to the Gravemind on his mission to stop the ring's activation. 117 is sent to High Charity to retrieve the Index, while the Arbiter is sent to the area around the control room to stop the activation. 117 arrives in the middle of truth, making a broadcast about his future victory, scaring a grunt in the process.
Boo.
The Chief fights his way through High Charity chasing the Prophet of Truth, watching fights between the elites and brutes. Further has to deal with a Flood army breaching the city on board the now infested in Amber Clad. Tartarus separates Keyes and Johnson and prepares to take them to the control room. They are attacked by Flood infection forms, and the brutes make short work of them. However, the Prophet of Mercy is snagged by an infection form, and Truth stops Tartarus from saving him. 117 finds Mercy after Tartarus and Truth have left, and learns that Truth is going to Earth on board a Forerunner Dreadnought to finish what he started. Chief uses an energy conduit to board the Forerunner Dreadnought bound for Earth, having to leave Cortana behind, promising to return for her. Thel arrives on a mountain near Halo's control room, finding remains of a battle between elites and brutes. With the help of elites, grunts, and hunters, he finds Ritas Vadume, who learns from the Arbiter that brutes have killed the Sangheili High Counselors. They fight their way to a scarab that Johnson took control of. The Arbiter and Johnson make an uneasy alliance to stop the Halo launch. They successfully breach the Halo control room and confront Tartarus, who has Keyes, 343 Guilty Spark, and the Index ready to fire the ring. The Arbiter, with the help of Guilty Spark, tries to convince Tartarus that the Prophets have betrayed them all, and that the journey is a lie. Tartarus is, however, blinded by faith and forces the activation of Halo, beginning a fight between him and the Arbiter. Sangheili Zealots and Counselors join Arbiter in the fight against Tartarus with heavy losses, and they finally manage to kill him. And they manage to stop the launch of the Halo ring. Now 343 Guilty Spark warns them that it's activated a failsafe protocol, putting all other Halo rings on standby for remote activation from a location called the Ark. Meanwhile, at Earth, the Forerunner Dreadnought arrives in the midst of a huge space battle, with Chief on board. He alerts Admiral Hood to his presence on board the Dreadnought. Upon being asked what he's doing on that ship, Chief says that he is... Alright, you ready for it?
Finishing this fight.
Whew, damn, that was a long story. Alright, so everyone seems to have their favorite Halo game, right? This one's mine. Which one's yours, and why? Tell us in the comments below.